Hey everyone, Austin back again with yet another long play video. This time we'll be going through the Super Nintendo version of Doom. Now, for those of you guys that have been following me, you know that I've done recently quite a few long plays of the Doom series. One of them was for the Sega Saturn. I ran through the entire Sega Saturn game, and yeah, now I decided to also do the Super Nintendo version. I've also done the 32X version in the past, and I actually took a shot at doing the Jaguar version on Nightmare, but that's one that is, I'm gonna have to really practice that one before actually being able to do it. But this is Super Nintendo Doom. After doing that sort of wretched Saturn long play, that was kind of painful to play through, you know, I had the desire to do the Super Nintendo one as well, and I figured it would be equally as painful, but not more so. The Super Nintendo version of Doom, surprisingly, you might not believe this, but was the first version of Doom I personally ever played, and so I have a bit of some nostalgic ties to this game. I was kind of actually looking forward to playing it again. I hadn't played it in a while, and you know, it's one of those games you know, I don't know, it's got such a bad frame rate and things like that I really have had no reason to come back to it. I mean, I can just play the PC version of Doom, or play the Jaguar version of Doom, or play the PlayStation version of Doom. So, I mean, I hadn't played this game in a while, a couple of years at least, and yeah, I was expecting it to be about as painful as the Saturn version, but unfortunately I would quickly find out that it would be even more painful than playing through the Saturn version of Doom. For one, you guys can already tell, this game has a pretty awful frame rate, and to be honest with you, the video that you're seeing I think actually makes it look better than it actually is, because basically half the frames are taken out when I record the video. It records at 29 frames a second instead of 60, so what you're seeing is also a little more sped up than you know, what you would get if you're sitting in front of an actual tube television and playing it live. So the next big problem this game has, it's not just the frame rate here, it's the controls are really sluggish. It's a sluggish playing experience, and it's not very good. So basically, you've got a bad frame rate. You've got to fight with the controls a little bit, and coincidentally or ironically, I don't know how you want to look at it. There's you can't circle strafe in this game. You can strafe left and right, but for some reason, it won't let you turn while you're strafing. Even though you have individual strafe keys, the L and R buttons, it won't let you, you know, slowly turn as you strafe left or right. So when you want to strafe around enemies, it's like you gotta strafe, let go of strafe, turn the D-pad quickly, strafe again, turn the D-pad quickly, strafe again, you know, on off like that. And it's coupled with the really bad frame rate, it's tough to be as swift and as deadly as you can in other versions of Doom. And that'll become much more apparent as this video goes on. These first early levels I pretty much just blaze right through, and they weren't difficult, but there are a couple points later on in the game though where I do die. I die, I think, I don't remember if it's once or if it's twice, because I recorded this footage a couple weeks back, and I'm just tapping or slapping the voiceover on top of it after the fact. So it's been a few weeks since I played it, but I did die at least once, and I might have died twice on a certain level, but I might just chop that out to save you from having to watch that. But I will keep in at least one of my deaths. I think it's on a later stage, and so you guys can see that. One of the cool things I found out in this version of Doom is when you die, you get to start back out with all your weapons on the level that you died at, which I think is a great thing, because if they made you start with a pistol on this game, it would just be it would be a nightmare to get through. And again, combined with the other flawed aspects like the frame rate and the sluggish controls, it's nice that they at least let you keep your weapons after dying. So now, just like my Saturn Doom long plays, I'm not going to be doing a full video long play. This whole video is really along the lines of, I think it's at least 2 hours long, so it's yeah, so I'm not going to be commenting the whole way through, and so I'm going to let this commentary go for maybe about 15-20 minutes, kind of like the Saturn one, and then I'll be chopping that off and then cranking the volume up. Yeah, you can watch to your heart's content. So, I mean, this is, I really don't recommend playing this version of Doom. It's really not a great game. It was an amazing effort. But, you know, you have so many other better versions of Doom that you can play. There's really no point in playing this version. I mean, unless you really want to fight with some controls and you really want to have to deal with that frame rate, you know, by all means go ahead, play it, but I really don't recommend trying to track down this game. I especially don't recommend paying the current eBay prices for it. I was actually looking for this cartridge on eBay for a few weeks because I didn't want to pay the prices that they were going for. It was like minimum of $15 for a loose cartridge only, and it's like, are people really, you know, desiring that game this much to warrant a price like that? You know, it's really not a great version of Doom. It's an amazing technological achievement, I think, because I really don't think the Super Nintendo should have been able to do this game. I mean, yeah, they're using the, you know, the sort of 3D Super FX technology, and I think this Doom actually ran on the Super FX2, so it was a heavily beefed up Super FX compared to what we saw with, like, Star Fox. You got all the textures and so forth, and you got some lighting effects, which is pretty cool, and it's really cool. It's just, you know, it's a neat technological achievement, and it was one of my first actual personal experiences with 3D polygons outside of Star Fox back in the day. So I mean, you know, like I said, I've got some nostalgic ties to this game, and I loved this game when I first played it, but, you know, I didn't really know any better. I didn't have any 3D polygonal systems at the time, and my Super Nintendo was the best that I had, so... But it really hasn't held up well over the years, and to be honest with you, if I had played, say, the PC version first, then played the Super Nintendo version back then, I probably still wouldn't have been impressed with it. But yeah, point is, I was searching out for this game for a while, and I bit the bullet. I was like, ugh, I'm gonna have to buy one that's like $15. I really don't want to. I even thought about just buying a complete in-box copy for collector's purposes, and I was bidding on this auction, and someone outbid me at the last second, and I wasn't really willing to counterbid. The game was up to like $20-something plus shipping, complete in-box. It was a nice-looking copy, and from what I can tell on eBay, they sell for about $30 to $35 complete in-box. So I mean, what I would have paid is the general price that they go for. It would have been about 30-ish, and really, I don't know. I'm kind of glad I didn't do that, because as much as I wanted to have this game in my collection, just because it's a Doom and I love the Doom series, it's one of my favorite games of all time, alongside Quake, and you know, I'm kind of glad I didn't do that. I don't have the game, or I don't have the box version. I do have the cartridge-only version now, because I bit the bullet and bought it for about $15 after shipping on eBay. It was the cheapest one I could find, actually, that still looked okay. There aren't really any rips in the label or anything like that, unlike some of the other ones up there. But, you know, after doing this long play, I can rightfully say I will probably never play this game, or not anytime soon. And probably the only reason I will ever play it again is not to actually finish the game like I did here, but just to show someone, you know, the sort of technological achievement that, you know, the Super Nintendo was able to pull off here. So, again, don't really recommend playing this version of Doom when you've got other choices available. But if you really want to try it out, wait until you run across it in like a thrift shop or something, or some used shop where it's not going to cost you $15 or more, because, I mean, it's really not worth that. Again, you can buy other versions of Doom for less that play way better, like the PlayStation version of Doom. Granted, I think if you get a $15 copy of that, it's probably going to be the greatest hits version, or a disc only of the long box version, because that one goes for about $25, I think, complete in box for the long box one, but it's worth it, completely worth it. This one, on the other hand, not so much. So Now, the point in this video is not for me to complain about this game. That's not really what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep things into perspective for any of you guys that might have been curious about this game, but you know, haven't bothered to give it a shot yet. And again, like I was saying, this is a great technological achievement. And you know, people say this game really looks like, well, basically looks like crap. And you know, yeah, it's not perfect, but for the Super Nintendo, I think this is pretty incredible. I mean, if you look at the edges to the polygons, well, not the polygons, but because Doom doesn't actually use a polygonal engine, but you know, it looks fairly sharp. It looks sharp enough. And yeah, the resolution of everything is really low. You get up in an enemy's face, they really don't look very good at all. But this is probably the best looking Super Nintendo game on the system. You know, in terms of like the polygonal games, this is easily the best one. And it's, you know, despite it being on a Super Nintendo, and just, you know, comparing it to other versions of the time, like the Jaguar and the PlayStation, etc., this one actually has a lot of texture variety. I don't know how they were able to cram all these textures into one cartridge, but one thing you'll notice if you've played other versions of Doom, especially the PC version, is that the Super Nintendo version of Doom has the truest level design to the original PC game, as opposed to the PlayStation or Jaguar versions, etc. And I thought that's one of the most interesting things about this port. For one, it's obviously one of the most visually impressive Super Nintendo games out there, easily, and but just the fact, just how it was able to keep a lot of the texture variety from the PC game, and other versions didn't, is kind of mind-boggling. It's like, why? I don't know. Either how did they pull it off, or why did they decide to pull it off here and not on other systems? Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's partially because they were not using ceiling or floor texture tiles, but I mean, maybe that could have something to do with it. But I don't know. It's still pretty cool. There's there's just a good bit of texture variety here in this game, and there's a lot less of it in other home conversions of Doom. From a gameplay standpoint, there's a couple quirks I actually wanted to talk about, and that is the auto-aim system in this game is much more lenient than other versions of Doom. You don't even have to be pointing directly at the enemy. If the enemy is even slightly right to your gun, you might still hit them, which has been happening left and right here. If you've been paying attention to where like the shots should be going and what they should be hitting, and what they actually are hitting. Now, as you get farther into the game, the enemies do get a lot faster, and so even though the auto-aim is pretty lenient, the enemies start getting really fast, and they start getting really annoying, and it's, you know, it helps a lot in the early parts of the game, but the later parts of the game get a little more chaotic, and you still have to be more accurate. So don't get too comfortable with the whole auto-aim feature and it just kind of doing the work for you, because when you get to episode 3 and you've got it on nightmare mode like I do right now, it gets pretty challenging. And you know, like I said, I ended up dying a couple times, and I think that was I died on the Inferno episode, and I think that might have been it. Inferno actually gave me some trouble. And by the end of that episode, I was done with this game. I was like, is it over yet? Because it was basically 2 hours of the bad frame rate and fighting with the controls and, you know, all that stuff. So in this playthrough, I tried to get to the secret levels on each episode, and I think I got all 3 secret stages in this game. It might have been just 2. I definitely got the one here on episode 1, which you actually find on this stage, and I'll be going into that shortly. I also get the secret stage from episode 3, Inferno. With that, the Inferno one especially is interesting, and I'll talk about it right now because I won't be commenting by the time I get to that point in the video, is that the secret level in Inferno recreates the very first level of Inferno. But when you get to the end of the stage and you've got the exit, I believe you walk through the exit and the walls come down from the exit room, and it reveals a massive room with tons of rockets and power-ups and a cyber demon. And you gotta fight the cyber demon basically on the first level of Inferno on this remade version. And then it makes you track all the way back to the beginning of the stage, but now the entire stage has changed. Like walls have come down and things like that, giving you a lot of enemies and so forth that weren't normally there in the first playthrough. And that was a pretty cool bonus stage. I like that a lot. It's really cool. Because when you first get to it, you're like, what's going on? I've already played this level. And then at the end, the wall comes down and you gotta fight a cyber demon. Fortunately, there's invulnerability there and you could just grab that power up. That is pretty cool. I'm not sure if that level was in other versions or other home versions of Doom, like the PlayStation or Saturn, or the definitely not the Jaguar. It wasn't in the Jaguar version, but very cool stage. Yeah, good old Super Nintendo version of Doom. One of the other highlights of this game, which is talked about a lot if you happen to frequent message boards or something like that, and this game ever comes up in topic, is the music in this game is really well done. It's the Super Nintendo's sample-oriented sound hardware was really ideal for this game, and everything sounds good, and arguably it sounds better than the original PC version. It's a really great sounding game. It doesn't sound identical at all to any of the other versions of Doom. The song structures are still the same and all that, but thanks to all the new samples used for this version of Doom, you get different sounding like snare hits and stuff like that, and faux guitar lines and things like that, and it sounds really, really solid. The sound effects, on the other hand, they're not so hot. They're a little muffled. They do get the job done, but you know, don't expect to be amazed by them. They're definitely well, they're definitely cheap samples. I can tell you that. They're not. They're very, very muffled. But yeah, you know, I don't really care about that as much as I do the music. The music sounds amazing in this game, and that's really what counts the most. In my opinion. The monster grunts and sounds, again, they get the job done, so they're fitting. Not the best in terms of other versions of Doom, naturally. It is the Super Nintendo, it's not a PlayStation, it's not a Saturn, it's not a Jaguar, so... the Super Nintendo was actually pretty old tech by the time this game came out, and again, like I said, I mean, this game probably really shouldn't have been done, or been able to have been done on the Super Nintendo, and it's just pretty amazing that it was done, and you know, they did accomplish that, and well, you got a playable version of Doom. Again, not the best version of Doom. To be honest with you, I'd have to say this is probably the worst home version of Doom. After having played it, I have to say it's... oh man, I don't know. I'm going to determine what the worst version of Doom is on home consoles after I play the 3DO version again and do a long play of that, because I will do a long play of the 3DO version as well, so just watch out for that sometime in this upcoming year. You know, I used to say the 3DO version is the worst version of Doom, and then I forced myself to play this version for this long play, and struggling with the controls was the worst part. Well, the frame rate on top of struggling with the controls, which again, you cannot circle strafe, which is a pain. Any sort of circle strafing, it looks like I'm doing in this video, it's because I'm rapidly tapping the strafe, then my directional pad, then strafe, then directional pad, back and forth really quick. And you know, I can handle that sort of thing. It gets annoying after a while though, admittedly, but you know, some people that aren't quite as dexterous with, you know, an old school controller, I have quite a few friends that aren't, you'll probably have trouble with it, you know, so, but yeah, the biggest thing was just the frame rate and the sluggish controls, and, again, the frame rate just, I think it gets a little bit worse as the game goes on, and, you know, the 3DO version was extremely bad, but thanks to the fact that you can shrink the screen size down, it is actually remotely playable. So, I don't know. Once I do a long play on that one, I think I'm going to determine which one I think is the absolute worst version of console Doom. So, I know I'm sounding very negative in this commentary part, and I really don't mean to, but I'm just kind of summing up my thoughts on how I felt while I was playing this game, trying to do this long play. It really wasn't that much fun. You know, I was actually really pumped when I was going into it. I was really actually looking forward to playing this version. Because strangely, even though the Saturn version of Doom has frame rate problems, it was still more playable, and I was actually kind of enjoying it to a point. This one, not so much, you know? It was one of those long plays I just kind of had to force myself to do. About halfway through it, I was just like, oh, this is painful. So, sorry if I'm crushing someone's childhood memories out there, but I'm kind of crushing my own at the same time. Because again, this was the first version of Doom I ever played. It was probably the year after it came out. Within the year after it came out, you know, I got it for. I had rented it actually. I think it might have been around like Halloween time or something. And then begged my parents to get it for Christmas, and I did get it for Christmas. And I played the hell out of it a lot. And you know, so I do have a lot of nostalgic ties to it, and it just really has not held or stood the test of time, in my opinion. And even when it came out, maybe it was terrible when it came out, but I didn't know better back then. I didn't have a PC that could run 3D games, and I didn't have a PlayStation or a Saturn yet, so it was like, I seriously didn't know any better. This was amazing to me back when it came out, and now that all that other 32-bit hardware from back then is super cheap and technology has improved so much, you can kind of see how bad this version actually is. But from the eyes of a teenager that had never really played a 3D game before, aside from Star Fox, this version of Doom was quite amazing, and I played it into the ground back then. So yeah, lots of nostalgic ties to basically the Doom series as a whole. This was my entryway into Doom. Shortly later on, within the next year, my dad would actually get a new computer. It was a brand new Pentium 1. It was a Dell computer, but it had a Pentium 1 processor in it, which was pretty new at the time, pretty powerful. It was 166 megahertz. It was a beast of a computer when we got it. Well, I say that compared to what we had at the time, which was a 286 based processor, or 286 processor computer, which couldn't even run Wolfenstein 3D. We didn't have appropriate graphics hardware, and it couldn't even run Wolfenstein, so I didn't even really have home experience with Wolfenstein or anything like that either until this game. This was my entryway to basically, well, I guess you could say basically first-person shooters as a whole. This was actually, yeah, this was my first-person shooter. I don't recall ever playing a first-person shooter prior to Doom, now that I think about it. I mean, I had played Wolfenstein 3D on a friend's computer, but, you know, I never had that ability to do that in my own house until this version of Doom, so it's kind of like my gateway drug into the the realm of console first-person shooters, and then PC first-person shooters, because when my dad got the new Pentium computer back then, there was like some holiday that came up, and my parents were feeling generous, and they went out and bought a couple of PC games. One of them was The Seventh Guest, the other was Doom 2, which apparently was brand new at the time. And so first it was Doom on Super Nintendo, and then it was Doom 2 on the PC. And then that led me into finding the original Ultimate Doom, getting Wolfenstein 3D for the PC, getting Quake when it came out just like a year or two later, and then tracking down all sorts of good old first-person shooters, from the old Apache Wolfenstein 3D based ones like the Blake Stone series to the later Build Engine game versions, or Build Engine first-person shooters like Duke Nukem 3D and Power Slave. And I really got hooked onto the first-person shooters from that time period, and I really have this version of Doom to thank, ironically. It's not a version of Doom I can recommend these days at all, to be honest with you. But, you know, again, I have some nostalgic ties to it, and, you know, you could say it's basically the reason I got into first-person shooters to begin with. To me, it was amazing at the time, and granted, like I said, it hasn't held up well at all, but, I hadn't seen anything like it before on a home console. And again, like I was saying, some of its traits still hold up pretty well compared to other versions of Doom, which is kind of the funny thing about it. Like the texture variety. If you're familiar with other versions of Doom, particularly the PC and at least the PlayStation or Jaguar versions of Doom, you'll already notice that the texture variety in this is really astounding compared to those versions. There's more of it. Granted, again, like I said, other versions of Doom have ceiling and floor textures. This version does not, but you know, it's still quite impressive. So, alright guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the commentary portion of this long play video. And, you know, I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's anything else I want to talk about before I wrap this up, anything else I want to mention. And, you know, I can't really think about it. Let me see if I can think of something else I wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah. Rockets. Rockets in this version of Doom are extremely deadly. They are... I mean, you're probably saying to yourself, well, yeah, they're rockets, duh. But no, not quite like that. It's, in the PC version of Doom, if you had a lot of armor and you were up against the wall and you shot a rocket into it, it might take a third of your life away and most of your armor, but you're still alive. You're still there. You still got a chunk of your health. In this version of Doom, no matter how much health you have, no matter how much armor you have, if you run up towards a wall and fire a rocket, you are dead instantly. It is ridiculous. I actually killed myself a couple times in this long play because of mismanaging my rockets and shooting near a wall, and I killed myself in one hit. It's extremely frustrating, so don't run around with a rocket launcher in this game. Wait until you're in an open spot. It should be of note that the splash damage is also wider on the rockets in this, so you'll get hit even though it looks like you shouldn't. If you hit a wall and it looks like you're far enough away to dodge the splash damage, you'll probably still get hit, so be careful with that. Be very careful with that. The chain gun in this game is actually really good. I mean, it's really good in all versions of Doom, but it's especially good in this version because it drains a lot less bullets when you use it. And if you notice me switching back to it occasionally and firing, the bullets just tick down like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whereas in the PC version, it's like it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and or like double that speed. The drainage of your bullets in this game is much slower on the chain gun, so take advantage of that. Same thing with the plasma gun, but actually I kind of miss the rate of fire in the PC version because enemies died a lot quicker with the plasma gun in those versions. Actually, you know what, to be honest with you, I think the plasma gun is still extremely powerful in this version, even though it doesn't fire as fast as the computer game. I think either enemies have less health, or each shot on the plasma shot or plasma rifle is actually more powerful than each shot in the PC game. But, you know, I think those are the only other quirks I can think of, guys. There are a few other things, like the enemies are always facing you. They never turn around. And that can make some parts of the game pretty tricky, like where Barons of Hell start appearing. Those guys will literally just trail after you, so be careful against those guys. Also, enemies won't fight each other, so you know, you do have to be on your toes a little bit more often. But aside from that, you know, the game plays and looks and sounds like Doom. So if you played any other version of Doom and you really want to give this one a shot, well, you'll probably feel at home. Just, let's just say I've warned you when it comes to the controls and the frame rate. You know, if you really want to give this one a shot, go for it. But, again, you've been warned. Alright guys, well, probably not my most entertaining long play, and it's more complaints than not, but you know, I'm glad I got this long play over with. I think I'd like to eventually do every home version of Doom. I'm gonna really have to work at the Jaguar version. Someone requested that I do that on Nightmare, and I tried that, and wow, it's freaking difficult. The Jag version is no joke on Nightmare mode. Enemies are so much faster than any other version, and there's no circle strafing in that game either, and you don't even have independent strafe buttons. You have one strafe key, which makes it even more challenging to dodge enemies appropriately in that one than it is in this version. So I'd also like to do the 3DO version, and you know, down the road I might eventually do the PlayStation version, but I really don't see a lot of point in that right now immediately, because I've already done the Saturn version and it's the same game minus lighting effects, so nah. But now that I got the Super Nintendo version out of the way, I've got the Saturn version out of the way, and I've got the 32X version out of the way, which was one of my first long plays actually. I've got that all my long plays playlist on my main page of my channel if you'd like to check that out. So, but yeah, expect a 3DO long play eventually, and if I can manage to practice it, expect a Atari Jaguar long play of Doom as well on Nightmare mode if I can manage it. So, but alright guys, well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks for watching, and thank you for subscribing. If you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. I got a lot of videos like this in the works. I've got a lot of videos like this I've already done. It's all organized into playlists on my main channel page, so be sure to check that out if this is your sort of thing. I've got a lot of different kinds of long plays from, again, the Doom games. Recently I did a long play on Quake for the PC. I ran through the entire PC game of Quake on Nightmare mode, and I've done long plays of Guardian Heroes for the Saturn, all 6 Mega Man games, which as of uploading this video, I'm not sure if I will have uploaded my Mega Man 6 long play yet. But yeah, I've got a lot of long plays there, guys. I got a lot of casual reviews. I got some more serious reviews and so forth too. So, you know, be sure to check out my channel, see what else I've got if you've got some time to kill. And as usual, guys, thanks for watching, and you know, I'll be back with some more videos sometime soon. So until then, take care.